Hey, here you go, folks. Here's your guy, Adolphus A.D. Moore. Back on the corner. We've had been a break here and then we're taking a little time off. Sort of in these dog days of summer. The NBA championships are over with. The Warriors have got their trophy. The Colorado Avalanche are walking around skating around rather with the Stanley Cup. And so we are under 30 days going into the NFL camp. But tonight, this is a special program tonight, as back on June the 4th, 1967, there was a cornucopia of athletes that were assembled in Cleveland, Ohio, to meet with what they call the Cleveland Summit. And as this picture that you see in the background, that picture, that iconic picture that everybody has seen, was known as the Cleveland Summit. And you see, it's a potpourri of who's who as far as the premier black athletes at that time. Standing behind Muhammad Ali is a gentleman that I'm about to bring on, and I got the deep world of respect for him. But if anybody can tell you the full explicit details of it, he's going to be able to do it. And as I bring him up to the screen, I would like to bring on Mr. John Wooten. Godfather, welcome back on the corner. How's everything going?
Well, I'm doing all right for an old man. I just had a left knee replaced, and I'm struggling with it like any other 85-year-old person would be. But we've been getting better every day. I'm sitting here now. I just finished my inside the house walking, and then I got ice, so I'm doing two-a-days. So you're familiar with two-a-days, that's what I'm doing.
Well, two-a-days, some of us had to go through three-a-days, but I empathize with you. Like I said, I'm gonna have to be doing that in July. Those bodies will break down, but thank goodness they got titanium parts that they can put in them and help to keep moving. So we hope you for the best and everything. As I mentioned earlier on the screen, now you see this iconic picture, and if you're standing there behind, at that time, the Luau Center was known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And there was a summit with Muhammad Ali because in April he refused to step forward to take the induction to the draft. And then in June, as I mentioned earlier, June 4, 1967, y'all convened a summit in Cleveland. And from our conversation in the past, I'm pretty sure you probably would have your hand in as far as pulling everybody together. And so that's what I would like to do tonight. After 55 years, let's talk about this picture and Muhammad Ali. And I'll just let you start to introduce the guys. If folks is looking at the picture right now, that's you. That's you, the young man that's standing behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. At that time, he was still Luau Center. So, Godfather, take it away.
Okay, well, it's a meaningful picture. But remember now, in 1967, Muhammad Ali was still known as Cassius Clay.
Correct.
And but I was sitting at the table, of course, everybody knows Bill Russell. We called him the champ. Jim Brown, and at the time, Luau Center, later to become one, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Behind Bill Russell is a fellow, is Carl Stokes. Carl Stokes was our legal counsel of the NIEU. And let me tell you what that's about. And going and hanging with Jim Brown, he felt that in as much as we were not going to be marching, sitting in the demonstrations as athletes, particularly professional athletes, that we must do something to help in the Black movement. So we came up with this idea of economic development. And this is why you got to follow this very closely. NIEU, Negro Industrial Economic Union, later to become the BEU, the Black Economic Union. But our whole purpose was to set up an operation. The headquarters was in Cleveland. We had an office in Los Angeles. We had an office in Oakland. We had an office in Kansas City run by Curtis McClendon, who you see in the picture.
That's Curtis standing right behind? Is that standing behind Cassius and Jim Brown next to Bobby Mitchell? Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Bobby Mitchell ran the office in D.C.
Okay.
The headquarters, as I said, was in Cleveland, and we had a business planning office in Harlem. Now, the gentleman between Carl Stokes, who later on that year became the first black mayor of a major city, Carl Stokes. The person between Carl Stokes and Bobby Mitchell is Walter Beach, cornerback for the Cleveland Browns, but he's also ran Carl Stokes' youth program. So, and then of course, between Bobby Mitchell and Curtis McClendon is Sidney Williams, who was a young linebacker out of Southern University that was on our 64 championship team. And then, of course, the great Willie Davis standing behind Curtis McClendon, young man in the light colored suit. That's Jim Shorter, who was also from North Carolina A&T through Western Michigan, was a cornerback with the Cleveland Browns. Also the best man in my wedding. That's my guy. And of course, Jim Shorter, Willie Davis, Bobby Mitchell, Carl Stokes, and the great Ali, all of them are deceased now. So what had happened, AD, is that when the champ didn't step forward there in Houston, they immediately took away his passport and his championship. Okay? Their whole purpose was to put him in jail as a draft dodger. Now, these men, the commonality is these guys all were part of our program called the NIEU, later to become the BEU, funded by the Department of Commerce under the EDA, Economic Development Administration, working in the communities around the cities that we told you, where we were in position under a grant from the Ford Foundation of $1 million for seed money to help establish Black businesses around the country. So if you lived in Cleveland or Houston or whatever, you could come to us and say, hey, I need $25,000, $30,000 to put together a small corner store front drugstore, shoe shop, barber shop in my community, and we could loan you the money. So that's what this whole organization is about. Now, here's the tie. In 1965, we asked, Jim Brown is retiring from the NFL. We asked the champ to come in. We're going to use it as a fundraiser. We had Cleveland Arena there on 22nd and Euclid. We sold it out with saying goodbye to the great Jim Brown. But Ali headlined that for us. So when Ali got in trouble, didn't step forward there in Houston, as you well know.
Right.
Herbert Muhammad called Jim. And he said, the champ needs your help. Jim was living out in LA at the time. Jim called me and said, Woot, I just got a call from Herbert Muhammad. The champ didn't step forward. He needs our help. Call the guys. The thing that I looked at most, every single guy I called, not one said, who gonna handle this bill? I'm not sure I want to be in this. They said, where are we meeting? I said, the Hilton Hotel on 9th Avenue in Euclid. The room's already set. We need you there Saturday night. They were there, as you can see. Sit down, talk to the champ. Most of us had already done our military obligation. Jim, second lieutenant, Willie Davis, Bobby Mitchell, Curtis McClendon. Well, I had done my obligation, 6 months with the National Guard, all that kind of stuff. So we had already done ours.
Correct.
And we wanted to, first of all, talk to champ into going. Let me say it again. Talk to champ into going. Get in special service.
Godfather, let me stop you there, because I going back and doing the research on this. Was that the initial meaning for calling the meetings, as some have been purported, that y'all was going to try to convince him to go ahead and step forward, or was there other means that just that was part of the topic that y'all wanted to talk about?
The main thing that we felt, in as much as who we were and what our sense of obligation was, to explain to him that you can go in, you never have to go to war, you can go into special services where all you're doing is riding around visiting bases, putting on boxing exhibitions, do that for 6 months or so and get out and be done. The champ opened with, I'm a black minister of the Nation of Islam. I'm a conscientious objector. I don't want to be part of any organization that kills people. I don't believe in killing people. I believe in saving people's lives. That's what I believe in. And he never wavered from that. And he said it as quietly and as strongly as you can say it. I love everybody. All of us are child of God. And that's why I don't want to be in anybody's army or organization that kills people. And he never wavered. Curtis McClendon says to him, we will see if I can take your place. And he said, no, Curtis, no. Don't do that. I don't want any of that. I am a minister. I am here to save lives, help people. And that's what he, at the end of the time, he said we would meet Sunday morning, come down to the office there at 105 in Euclid, there in Cleveland, and have this press conference.
That
Keep one thing else in mind. Keep one thing else in mind.
Okay.
So your audience will know this. The thing that made Ali so strong with us was that he had, on the main bout, Bob Arum, Don King, he had made it where we could, I don't know if you're old enough to know this, but back in those days, whenever he fought, you had it on closed circuit TV.
Correct.
He had given us the loop. When I say us, I'm talking about BUNIU, so that we could put that fight in any of those cities that we were in, the inner city. They didn't have to go out to the suburbs to see the fight. All of this he had made a part of our commitment, our economic development, so that we could help people make money. So we could call you and say, hey, AD, Champ is fighting on February 27th. Is there a theater in your community that you would want to put this fight in? Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. So you pay us $1,500 for the loop. We bring the fight in, you get the theater, you sell the tickets, make you a few dollars. Now, are you old enough to know all of that?
Well, no, I remember when the fights, because I remember on it was Dowling, the Dowling Theater, which is now Emancipation Avenue now. They used to have closed circuit fights at the Dowling Theater.
Was there Ali fights?
Yes.
That's what that's all about. Somebody was making money in your community because of what he had done with Main Bout under Bob Arum and Don King. So you can see why we responded the way we did when Jim said, get the guys together, Champ needs our help. Okay? So there we are.
What was the conversation Saturday night like? Once after Curtis said he would step in his place, what was the conversation around the room from the other members of this group?
Support. We went in there 20 minutes, and the champ had won everybody because he was that sincere. You know, keep in mind now, all of us, let me go all the way back. In 1960 or 61, we were in Florida to play the Green Bay Packers in Miami, play the Green Bay Packers in a runner-up bowl game. That was the same time he wasn't a champ then. Cassius was in Miami to fight Sonny Liston. Remember that fight?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
All of us are in Miami, and we're all hanging out at a club hotel called the Sir John. Doctors, everything is black. Black doctors, black lawyers, black judges, black school teachers, black social workers, black pimps, black prostitutes. All of us in there. You saw the night in Miami with Jim Brown and all that bunch.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
plate.
the
Yes.
plate. Yes.
Yeah, that's what that's about. All that took place when we were down to play the Green Bay Packers. Willie Davis, he was with the Packers then, but all of us were all buddies. And after we would stand over on the beach, but after the meetings, we were headed towards Sir John's. That hotel, it's a drive, what do you call it, a big highway through there now, that area of Miami. But that's where we were hanging out. And that's how all of this came to be. Jim and the champ got along great, and of course Jim invited him to be a part of this with us. And of course Russell was already, Jim and Russell were all, Jim was staying on the West Coast then, and he was always reaching out, particularly to athletes, for get involved with us, because we were doing some things. We had programs, economic programs. We had a project that we funded out of Washington called Project GM, Job, Interest, and Motivation. J, Job, I, GM, Interest, M, Motivation. Well, we took young kids, high school kids, what do you want to do? What do you want? And got them jobs in the summer in the interest of where they motivating them to go to school, education, and so forth. So we had a lot of things going that had to do with the community, and all of this is a part of it.
Now, at the time, I mean, obviously Jim was probably one of the higher paid athletes at that time. Bill Russell was at the time Ali, but the thing about it, and I mean, and I guess what I think I would like to stress, this happened in 1967. The Civil Rights Bill was passed only in 64. The Voters' Right Act was like in 65, and then y'all had this summit in 67. It says 55 years ago, but the timing and everything and the forward thinking that y'all had in using y'all platforms at that time was, I can see now how, guys, athletes now would, if you put all y'all salaries together at that time, you got one athlete that makes that type of money now on a signing bonus. So
Well, yeah, and I hear you, but it's not about the money thing. You mentioned the civil rights. I have a pen in my room now. I was right there in 1965 when that took place. All of this was part of what, I sit with Dr. King. Dr. King would come into Cleveland to help Stokes in voting, get out the vote rallies.
right.
I picked him up at the whole, back then you could drive right up almost to the plane at the airport and get him. I picked up Dr. King and brought him in to lead the rallies. And we talked extensively about what we were doing and why we were doing it. But we couldn't march with it. We couldn't sit in with it. Because if you spit on me or call me the N-word, I'm ready to fight you. Period. And that would hurt the cause. but we had a relationship with Whitney Young and NAACP and everybody else. We were all part of all of that. You know, we went to the rallies. But the thing that we weren't going to do was be in these marches where people are calling you all kind of names, spitting on you, throwing stuff on you. We weren't going to do that. We went the economic route, and that's how we went about building what we still have today in terms of where we are as a people.
Right.
That's how Fritz Pollard became alive. You know, all of this is part of that. You know, fighting for the rights that says very clearly Washington and Adams and Madison and Hamilton and all sit down in Philadelphia with the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. They weren't thinking about me and you, but when they put in there, under God, all men are equal. As Dr. King says, we're going to hold you to that. We're going to march, we're going to demonstrate, we're going to create programs, we're going to stand for what we know is right. And that's what we're all about.
Was that did how many of y'all was still playing? I know Jim had retired. What kind of backlash did any of the other guys receive, or did they receive any from their respective clubs that were still playing at the time?
I was still playing Willie Davis, Shorter, Curtis McClendon. Jim is the only one that's was not still playing.
Okay.
All the rest of us still playing. Jim is the only one that retired. We listen. What Modell gonna say? That I don't have the right? You know. Now we eventually got into it over some other issues that happened there on our own team. And Ross Fiedner, you know.
Right.
When Ross Fiedner says that he's not going to invite us anymore to play in his member guest club after we had all played in it for years. I had won it the year before at the golf tournament, and he says that he's not going to invite any more colors. And I'm saying, what are you talking about, Ross? Well, some of the guys took stuff out of the pro shop, didn't pay for it. I said, we know who was there. Let's tell the pro to tell us who it was. Wasn't about 9 of us that played, black guys that played in it. So we know who they are. They're the Browns. Well, no, I'm just not going to. Well, hey, you're not going to get away with that. You know, you're not going to get away with saying that you're not going to invite any more colored guys to your member guest golf tournament because one or two, whoever, didn't pay for something they took out the pro shop. When we know the pro got it, we all Cleveland Brown, black Cleveland Brown players, so we know who they are. Let's go get the money and pay them, get that taken care of. See, you got to understand, the audience got to understand that people will try to run any kind of game on you when they don't want you to be a part of what they're doing. See, I don't even know if he made that up or not.
But that was a reason he was giving y'all not to invite y'all back to the country club.
Yeah, and of course, Art Modell overreacted to it, and you know, that's what took me to Washington.
That's the reason you requested to trade in?
No, I didn't ask for a trade. He fired me.
Oh, he cut you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All the times we talk, you know what? I'm learning something every day. The more time we talk, that's the first. So they literally just cut you, and you were the free agent. You just found your way to Washington.
He fired both of us. He waived both of us. And I just made all Pro Bowl, all of that, right? And all of a sudden, I don't get picked up. Huh? So remember I told you about Bob Arum, who headed up Maine Bout?
Right.
So he calls me. And he said, all right, what are you going to do here? And I said, well, I'm very simple. I'm not picked up by next Tuesday or whenever, I'm going to file a lawsuit. He says, that's why I'm calling you. I got a guy that is willing to handle your case pro bono. And he's willing to take it all the way to the Supreme Court that you're getting blackballed. So I called the Commissioner Pete Rozelle. And I said, Commissioner, I've not done anything wrong. I've been a good soldier. And above all, I've been a pretty dang good football player. I said, so if I'm not picked up by next Monday, I'll be coming to Washington with my lawyer. And we're going to go file a lawsuit with the Supreme Court. And the Commissioner Rozelle said, hold. We're coming in for the game there for the induction at the Hall of Fame. Meet me at the Hall of Fame. Let's talk. And when we talked, he said, Bennett, who was running the William Bennett, correction, Edward Bennett, my helper here, Edward William Bennett, is running the Washington Football Club.
Okay.
And he wants to meet with you next week. And that's how I went to Washington in '67.
Were you of that group? Were you the only one that got waived immediately after this situation, or were you and?
Well, I'm the only one that spoke up about what Ross Frieden had said. So this was a one-on-one with me and Ross Frieden.
Okay.
This wasn't a club, you know. Remember, this '67. I'm the only guy in that picture where Walter Beach played with us in Cleveland. He was still with the team. Sidney is in Washington. Willie Davis is in Green Bay. So I'm the only one with the Browns in that. Me and Walter Beach are the only two players.
Right, because Bobby Mitchell already been sent to or traded to Washington, correct?
Bobby was traded to Washington in '62 for Ernie Davis.
Okay.
Remember Ernie Davis?
Right. Yes, I do.
Okay. Paul Brown traded Bobby because he wanted the big backfield like Green Bay had Taylor and Horner. And as much as Jim loved Ernie Davis, that created a schism between him and Paul because Jim loved Bobby Mitchell, loved the speed, the quickness, the explosiveness that Bobby had. He felt that was a better punch than what Green Bay had with Horner and, So as much as he loved Ernie Davis, treated him like his little brother, recruited him to Syracuse and was with him, and of course, the unfortunate thing there, when Ernie drafted #1 and went to the college all-star game, had a tooth pulled, and it wouldn't stop bleeding, and they found out that he had sickle cell. So he never played it down for us. Cleveland.
And he won the he was the MVP of the Orange Bowl. I mean, of the Cotton Bowl too, with Syracuse.
Well, he was the first Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy. Yeah. Oh, he was an outstanding player, and even a more outstanding person. I say all the time, the reason why the good Lord took him, he didn't want him down here with this mess. I mean, this guy was special in every way. Outstanding player, outstanding person, but sickle cell took his life before he ever had a chance to play.
So he never stepped on the field as a Cleveland Brown at all.
Never put a helmet on. And Jim recruited him to Syracuse. He wore the same numbers Jim wore at Syracuse. Jim treated him like I know all this because Jim and I are roommates. See, so we together all the time. And more than, we're good friends,
Mm-hmm.
And I, Ernie was his guy. But he just didn't want him to trade Bobby Mitchell. Bobby could do it, partner. I don't know if you've seen the highlights on Bobby.
Oh,
Bobby
yeah.
Mitchell could flat get it. Punt return, kickoff return. That's why when they put him out wide there at Washington, he just set the world on fire. He could do that for us.
Well, I appreciate it as we bring it to a close. The impetus that you guys set at this summit, as you sit back and look at the current players now, what do you see which players in your opinion has sort of pushed the ball forward and utilizing their platforms? Just sort of as a side note.
Well, I think that the players are black and white. I think that they're starting to come to understand that if you're going to live in this community where you play, and I recommend that you live in the community where you play. You got to realize your children got to go to school there, so you got to have good schools. You got to have a good open city and town where people don't just pull together because you're playing on an NFL team, but they pull together because it's the right thing to do. And if you take that community spirit, see, when we went to school, played there in Cleveland, We were on the city planning commission. We voted. We remember my youngster, God rest his soul, going door to door, making sure that everybody's registered to vote, knowing your area, knowing your community. That's the way you do it. There's a reason why Carl Stokes was the first black mayor of a major city. There's a reason why he was out of legal counsel at NIAU Slice B, because we knew him. And when we were putting it together, we went to him and said, hey, we want you to be a part of this. We want you to be our legal counsel. You know, this is how you work in your community. We went to the rallies at the churches and in the communities and so forth. As Jim would say, we went into the belly of the beast in the poor, stricken areas, and we set up centers so that our kids could get and have things that, you know, we encourage kids, you go to school and get your lesson, we will make sure you have money to go to college. We said that to the school. And when Dr. King was killed, and they were rioting all over every city, rioting, Carl Stokes called us, football players, Cleveland Browns. And we split up, and two of us went to all the different junior high and high school in the inner cities. We said one thing to them, to the students. If you love and respect and believe in Dr. King, do not leave this building. Do not be out in the streets riding, because they've already bought the tanks in and they'll kill you. If you respect Dr. King, don't leave this building. We went to Glenville High School and John Adams and East High and East Tech and Shaw High School and said that to the kids all over. And if you go back and look, there were no rioters in Cleveland the night Dr. King was killed. And that's the way you live, AD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Godfather, I got one other picture I want to put up.
Go ahead.
And I want you, as we close, I want to put this up and get your comments on it. And this was, I think, and you can debate, this was with the champ. And I think that was his last official birthday party, I think in Atlanta there, if I'm not mistaken.
No, this was at the champ's Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award.
Okay.
Where he invites people from all over the world. And Jim, he's giving this award to Jim.
Okay.
And he wanted me, Bobby Mitchell, and Russell to be there with him. Okay?
Gotcha.
That's what that is. That's it.
All right.
Muhammad Ali's Humanitarian Award. And he's giving Jim that award that night.
Was this in Atlanta?
No, this is in Memphis.
Memphis. Okay.
Yeah, it's an annual. They still do it.
Okay.
It's an annual award that, of course, before his death, but and he wanted us there with him, so I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm saying Memphis. What made me say Memphis? Okay. It was at
Louisville, Kentucky.
At Ollie's Museum.
Okay.
But it's what this is. I'm sorry. I don't even know what made me think Memphis.
Well, I was thinking Atlanta, but
Oh, no,
Louisville, Kentucky is home. So
yeah, it's at the museum there. At Muhammad Ali Museum, but the award is the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award that they give each year, and he's giving it to Jim, and that's why we're there. The five of us.
very good. Godfather, I appreciate the time. I really do. I've had this picture. You know, you and I have talked, offline in the past, but I wanted to. Sometimes we need to go back and revisit our history and let folks understand things just didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And they need to understand why, when, and what the W's of what's going on. Because we just in why certain things happen and have a historical perspective. Because if you don't, I think you fail to make a mistake by not understanding your history, and you will look to lose a whole lot. So I am eternally grateful for you to just take the time out and let's talk about this summit, this unique picture that, and like I said, 55 years ago. And as you stated, several of them have now since departed earth. But I appreciate your time. I hope to continue that you rehabilitate that knee. And if you don't behave, I'm sure Nita gonna make sure that she gonna put some on you.
Don't give her no ideas, man. You talking about a slave driver, man. I'm working. I told you I'm twice. 2 days, man. Get up, exercise, have to do all this rehab. And this sometimes it get hard on this leg, but you got to fight through the pain. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Get up twice a day and walk, and then ice, and and she's driving me, man, driving me. I just have to keep saying my prayers. Say, Lord, help me. That's all you can do. But we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
She's been a lot tougher on you than Paul Brown was, huh?
Not quite.
Not quite.
No, not quite, Doc.
Not quite.
Mm-mm.
Godfather, I appreciate the time. Thank you for taking the time out.
All right, we appreciate you, man. Stay strong, and above all, always remember our buddy Max.
That's why it's called the Max Corner.
Hey, listen, man. All of us are together because of Max.
That's right.
He's a special guy.
Yeah, he just he just had his birthday. He just celebrated his birthday back on the 21st of June.
That's outstanding.
So
anyway, hopefully Lubbock can get this thing together down there and go from there. He got a good man in Pep Hamilton. He can teach it.
Oh well. Not only do we believe in Lubbock, we believe in. I'm looking forward to this offense with Pep running it now and seeing what he can do with the talent.
Okay, well you breaking up your voice on that one. I couldn't understand it.
I said I'm looking forward to what's going to transpire with Pep running the offense. Got full control of it now, and with the talent, with everything they're bringing in, I'm looking forward to seeing the steps that David Mills is going to take now with Pep calling all the shots and everything. So it's going to be an interesting time down here.
Well, the real thing is they come from the same source. See, Dave Mills knows that Pep came directly under David Shaw.
Right.
See, and all he got to do is go get the tapes, which is right there, and look at what Pep did for that kid Justin Herbert out there at the Chargers.
Correct.
So he came from Stanford. He knows the system, and he know Pep knows the system. So all he got to do is do what Pep tell him to do.
Godfather, have a good evening. Tell
All
Dita
right.
I said hello. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. We're looking forward as the season get close to camp. I'll get you back on, and we'll turn over to the NFL and see from your eyes, looking at your perspective, looking at the league through your eyes, and see what's going on. Okay.
Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Happy 4th of July.
Same to you. My love to everybody up there, and we'll be talking. Okay.
Now don't be out shooting no fireworks and.
It's too dry. It's too dry. It's a fire ban. Not enough rain down here. We don't. Nobody needs to be shooting fireworks nowhere around here. It's too dry down here in Texas.
Okay, all
In
right.
Houston, period. Be blessed.
Above all, make sure your listening audience vote. Vote. We got a lot of work to do here in Texas.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
A lot of work, man. Tell them they got to vote. All righty. Take care, partner. Appreciate
Take care now. All right, folks. As we bring this to a close, I want to thank John Wooten, the Godfather, for his time. As he mentioned, we the Supreme Court has whether you on the plus side or the backside, you need to be engaged, and these guys were engaged way back then. That's why I wanted them on, just to talk about the historical significance. You have to stay engaged. You can't just wake up and some moments this is a full-time job from the birth to the grave. And if you feel like that's what you need to go ahead and stay involved. So without further ado, this is your man, Adolphus A.D. Moore. As I sign off, if you had not gotten your boosters, COVID is still running around. Get your COVID shot, get your booster shots, and I'll be coming back more regularly as we get closer to the NFL camps. And without further ado, ciao, peace, and I'll see you folks. Be looking for seeing you in a few weeks as the camps get started. Take care and God bless.